Hello, my name's Madison Roush. I'm here with Kathy Dickens of the Four County Community Foundation. How are you doing today, Kathy?
I couldn't be better. Thank you.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you in today. So, we're going to talk a little bit today about the Return to Earn program. But before we get started, can you just tell us a little bit about the Four County Community Foundation? How'd you get started?
Sure. Four County Community Foundation has been around since 1987, and the inception of it really came about as the profit of a hospital sale was $2.5 million, and the founders of the hospital were like, well, how do we give back to the people who helped build this hospital? And so they decided the way to do that would be to start a community foundation. So since $2.5 million in 1987, we've grown to around 25 million in asset, and while issuing back to the community about $13 million.
Wow.
In a combination of grants and scholarships. So we do everything that is good for the community. I often refer to the foundation as a conduit or a pipeline between people who wish to do good things in their communities and, connecting them with the nonprofits, schools, programs, that they're passionate about.
Yeah. And you guys cover Macomb County, Oakland County, Lapeer County, and St. Clair County.
Correct. Essentially the intersection of those four counties.
Okay, yeah. I know going through high school, I always heard about the Four County Community Foundation, and the counselors were like, reach out to them, reach out to them. This is where you get the scholarships, go. But I was never, I don't know, I never applied for any of it. But you guys impact so many students across all of these school districts. Talk a little bit about the inception of the Return to Earn program.
Sure. And I'll step one step backward and just let you know that as of last year, and it's a repeat this year, we'll be issuing about $630,000 in scholarships. So
wow.
A lot of that is due to a very, very nice scholarship fund that we just took on a couple of years ago. But there have been wonderful scholarships around since our beginning. And so honestly, we issue more dollars out the door in scholarships than we do in grants to nonprofits and schools. So $630,000 in scholarships, which is great work, helping kids kind of get, or young adults, I should say, get a foot into the future that they desire. Alongside of that, we issue about, again, $330,000 in grants. And a lot of that goes to schools to support projects, to support clubs, to support any initiative that they might have going on. Sometimes assemblies, sometimes, positive behavior support initiatives. And so really, schools are at the core of everything we do, and at the core of everything I do, it's interesting. My background, my first career was in education, so understanding. Everybody understands, but I guess I have a very close understanding of how important schools are integral to their communities, and so I started the Return to Earn initiative essentially for two reasons. One, Michigan has suffered from out-migration for a few years. We're losing people, and typically we lose people because they're not finding work, or they think they need to go elsewhere to find work. And so the whole Return to Earn concept was to marry our dedication to education along with our dedication to growing our local communities, which is everything about economics. And so the idea was, well, we don't have to just issue scholarships to get students into college, but how about we support college students in coming back home to the Four County area to serve in real life career roles and pay them for it? And so the initiative was just born out of that idea. And it's a rather small project, but I am proud to say that a donor heard of my desire to start this and did promise funding for it each year, and then wrote it in their trust as well. The couple did. And so hopefully we can keep it around forever, and we can just keep growing it and making it bigger.
Yeah, and I think it was really valuable because I am the initial Return to Earn recipient. And we kind of found each other in a weird way almost. So, coming out of college, I started volunteering in Romeo and working on Romeo Winterfest. And the director at the time was like, "Okay, how do we how can we keep her?" And I think she reached out to you, right?
Yes.
I was like, "What do we do? What do we do?" And that was at the very start of this program, correct?
Yes. First year.
So, you guys were very very helpful, and I'm very thankful um that you were able to provide that opportunity to me to be able to be funded to work for the Romeo Downtown Development Authority, because that got me connected with so many like great people. And I'm not just talking about in Romeo, but the other students in the program. Because I was just coming out of college. A lot of them were just going into college. So it was a really neat experience seeing how they were developing in their workforce, seeing their issues that they were seeing. And then I'm out here going through the same thing. It's just, we're different ages, we have different perceptions of things, but those students are doing awesome. I'm just really thankful for it, you know.
Well, I appreciate those words, and you never exactly know how things are going to turn out, right? You have a plan of action, and you think X, Y, and Z will be your outcomes. And I think that we did realize our outcomes. Our intended outcomes were to basically prove that there is work here in our local communities, and there's a need in our local communities, and you will enjoy the experience in your local community. You don't have to go out. And the other initiative was really to help students save some costs. They didn't necessarily have to pay rent in a big city for 3 months, or find housing, or all of buy the food. We may have burdened parents just a little bit, but I think they were mostly glad to have the students back with them. But I think the unintended outcomes really are what you're referring to. The unintended outcome of understanding commonality between this intern and that intern, and having a conversation, just an open, organic conversation with others of very similar age about the hurdles or the unexpected, the aha moments. And some of those aha moments are, they resonate loudly in my memory, because a lot of the students would say things, a lot of the interns would say things like, when I was a kid riding the school bus for all those years, we drove past that building. For example, if it was the courthouse, or for example, if it was the city, this municipal building, or whatever the case may be. And I never had any idea what went on in that building. And another unintended outcome was often, boy, small businesses don't mean smaller problems, or small municipal governments don't mean that they don't have problems. In fact, they have a small capacity, meaning smaller people in their workforce and their staff, but just as many unique problems to solve. And so I think the awareness is, there's a respect developed for what I would call small town, workforce and fabric of nonprofits, municipal governments, downtown development authorities, attorneys, engineers, just all of it. Simple isn't easy, or I'm sorry, smaller isn't easy. Smaller isn't simple. And so I think that was an aha, just to know how complex some of these, jobs become, really.
Yeah. And I think because we would meet, once a month, and we'd all share kind of our aha moments and our struggles. And I know that I was like, okay, this is happening here. What do I do? And I'd go to I'd go to you, and I'd go to the council of other return to earn interns and be like, okay, what is your perceptive here? Are you experiencing the same thing? How should I handle it? Because there were some really rough spots, and I knew that I had a group that I could go to, whether it be another student, whether it be you,
Mm-hmm.
that I can go, hey, you've watched me through this program. You're you're helping. You're almost a consultant, not a consultant, but be like, hey, what do I do? And it's that you have someone that you can trust
Mm-hmm.
that's outside of what you're doing that you can rely on and be like, okay, thanks. You get that outside perspective.
Right.
I also really enjoyed that we had those monthly meetings because it was almost like checkpoints. And you were forced, if you weren't always paying attention, to be like, where am I? How do I feel about this? Um, this is what I'm accomplishing. This is what they're telling me I'm doing. This is how proud my boss is of me. And I know there was one girl that was in the DPW, and she was doing water testing, and she would be showing all these charts to, and it just blew my mind with how much she knew, how much that group was relying on her and relying on a community student to help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really quite a phenomenal experience for that very reason. I think one of the takeaways, again, an unintended outcome, is that camaraderie between the interns and the kind of checkpoints, like you said, milestones, to make sure that we're all kind of doing what we said we would do, and to be reminded by the adult in the room, i.e., me, Kathy, that hey, if you haven't, collect some references. Be sure to ask. Be sure that you can put this on your resume as a work-related experience. Be sure that you're on LinkedIn if you're comfortable with
Spent
that.
a day on LinkedIn just being like, let's add each other.
Yes, exactly. And I'm still linked with a lot of individuals there. So it's a great experience. But I will say that another unintended outcome for the employers themselves, they got so much more out of it than they ever anticipated. The thing that I really like about this is that these are not internships where students are filing things or alphabetizing or making coffee or going to the subway to get lunch for everybody.
Yeah.
While they may do that on occasion, that's not their purpose. The purpose, really, the intent really, is to have a real world project. Like you had the Winterfest. Others had water infiltration issues in downtown. Some had a shortage of staff at the courthouse, and so they literally got sworn in as a bailiff, and they actually did research for court cases, and it's real world experience. And so a lot of the employers, interviewing them at the closure of the internships, will say, this was just phenomenal. That my respect for young people is 10, 50 times more than it was going into this. They are very intelligent and skilled and, show great motivation and work ethic. And they get so much more than they ever anticipated. And so that's one thing that I really like. Certainly I'm an advocate as a retired educator of real world problems put in front of students so that they can kind of grapple with, the solutions and to actually apply skills and learnings that they have acquired over time. And this internship really is just that. And then at the closure of the internship, as you recall, we try to have capstone projects. Whether big or small, it's just really a presentation about what was that problem, or what were the problems that you were posed with, what were the solutions or, potential solutions that you came up with and offered them. And again, that's very empowering at any age, but particularly I think empowering for a college, university student or recent graduate.
It was also, in my experience, that capstone project gave me almost an excuse to do something that I really wanted to do, because I'm like, hey, I'm part of this program and we have to do a project. Can I do my passion project? And so for, Romeo here, that was Vintage Fest. All I really wanted was to have people dancing in the streets. I was like, I love it. I love watching people dance. It's a fun community engagement thing. And then because it was a capstone project, it was something that I kind of signed on for. I'm doing this. And the community backed me up on it. They're like, all right, let's do this thing. And it was one of my favorite things that I've worked on because I was able to put my heart and soul into it. It was something, I got the dancing out of it. I got the classic cars in it. We had kids everywhere. We had families everywhere. And I was able to showcase what I was learning in those prior events, like how to do event coordination, how to, get sponsorships and coordinate with so many different people. And that means the business owners, that means the municipality, that means the county. And it was just, this program gave me the excuse that I needed to be able to just take off and go and be able to showcase something that I loved to do.
And it lives on, I understand.
It does.
The Vintage Fest will happen again in 2025.
Yes.
Yes. Well, and certainly congratulations to you to have a concept that was so embraced by the community that they want to see it continue. I think that's masterful. And, events are not simple. I mean, to close a street or to garner a park and or parking lots. I mean, every little step is like a major step. And so you did a great job with that. And so, kudos to you. Yes.
But I'm just really thankful because this, gave me that opportunity. I don't know where I would be, whether it be Romeo, whether it be somewhere else, if that opportunity with the Return to Earn program wasn't there to keep me. Because I don't know what would have happened, but it gave me that opportunity, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And the other students that were in the program, I think they got a lot out of it. The one that was able to become a bailiff, like right off the bat, it's like, oh, okay. Working with the DPW, doing the testing for chlorine, that's something that not everyone gets the chance to do. There was another one that was working with, it's like the HVAC system. My brain doesn't operate that way, but he was talking about it. I'm like, sounds good. You're doing good things. Do I understand it completely? No. But like he was explaining it, and it's like, I'm so impressed with the rest of the kids in the program. It was great. I loved it.
Right. And that was our first year. And of course, we've had, I think, a couple of years since then, and some new, placements.
Yes.
And it's been really interesting. We had a placement this past summer with the Jack Frost Museum.
I've been seeing Lindsay.
Yes, and working on the bodies, I think, of the antique cars essentially, and she's a great talent, and she was able to be maintained there for the summer months, and hopefully that, I'm sure this is what she wants to do indefinitely. And so, yeah, that was a beautiful thing. We've had, other placements with local attorneys. We had a civil engineer student placed with a firm that worked on the Henry Ford Tower build that was very recent.
Wow.
And so, a lot of really interesting placements. And I love an opportunity like this, Madison, to talk the program up a little bit and hopefully generate some interest, not only from the interns or potential interns, prospective interns, but also from employers.
Yes.
Because from their vantage point, typically what we do, and of course everything's open to negotiation, but what we aim to do is like a 50-50 buy-in to an intern. We want to pay no less than $4,000, and we've negotiated that higher, with 50% paid by the employer and 50% paid from charitable dollars, up to the point that my wallet can pay for it. Yeah. And so it's really a 50-50 kind of initiative. It's very cost efficient, and again, hopefully the student will realize that by living locally, they saved so much money that the money that they earn typically is money in their pocket. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have to pay out any expenses. So, and it's not tuition based. So they're not paying tuition to have a work experience, which sometimes is a reality. So, yeah, so a really cool program for sure. And in 2025, we're initiating. I put some bulletins out in Handshake for college students to see. And hopefully we come up with some local, when I say
Yes.
local, from our 4 counties so that they can come home again and save on some housing and what have you, and connect them with local people to get them not only to return to earn, but then possibly return later to earn for the long time, right? To actually stay as you did. And so we're so glad for that. And I think that the outcome is to at least expose students to the concept that there are plenty of jobs here, and they can find employment that fills their bucket and helps pay the bills locally.
Yeah.
I think a lot of students, including my own children, a lot of times people, for internships or even after they graduate, they think in order to achieve or to be perceived as like their education was significant, or in order to be successful, they have to go to a big city.
Yeah.
They have to go to Atlanta. They have to go to Chicago. They have to go to London. They have to go to Los Angeles. While certainly those experiences are phenomenal, they're not needed. If you get a degree in engineering, there's plenty of engineering to do here. If you get a degree in pre-law, you don't have to necessarily go out of the state. There's plenty of opportunity here. So hopefully the experience allows young college university students to realize that, I don't need to go to the big city necessarily to get a big experience. I can get that here. Likewise, you can get a big job here too. So that's really the motivation behind it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you're able to make a bigger impact if you're staying local, because some of these smaller businesses, some of these smaller municipalities, they don't always have the workforce. So if you're a student and you're like, I want hands-on experience and I want to give back to my community, it's a great way to get connected with those local businesses. So you're able to be like, I was a part of this. I changed how this was. I made this new system that affects the whole town that's beneficial. And I can put my name on that. And that's something that I gave back. I graduated from this town and I gave back to this town.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and certainly would leave an impression on all involved forever. Something else that's noteworthy to say, I think, is that, if you could get an internship in a smaller organization, the breadth of experience is much wider. You're not going to be put in a cubicle to do the thing day after day
Press
after
the
day after
button.
day. Instead, you get an experience really to see a whole system, to understand an entire business or an entire municipal government or an entire downtown development authority. Like you get to see the whole system and you're included. And I don't think that that's always the case if you take the internship in the big city. And you can't generalize. There are going to be those very successful internship opportunities elsewhere, but I really think that is an advantage of coming back to your local community and having an internship perhaps local and possibly smaller than big city internships. You get to see the entire system, and that is something that will stay with a student forever. Like to understand the billing, to understand the revenue, to understand the budget constraints, to understand the how problems all dovetail. You get to see it all because you're at the table. You're with the whole
part
team.
of it.
Yeah,
Your name's on it at the end,
yes.
which is kind of scary, but it's really exciting. Where it's like, my name's on this. I did it.
Right.
Yes. And I think this about me. I'm a people person, and being connected in such like a local area, you get to know everyone. You get to know the contractors. You get to know the customers. You get to know the people that you're working with. And that's like my favorite part, because you get to see how everyone works with each other, and everyone almost, because it's so local, it's everyone cares so deeply about the project, because they're all invested.
Right.
Like 100%. They're invested 100%.
Absolutely. And what you're referencing there, I think, is it's relationships. That's everything. It doesn't really matter what career you're focused on, what your major is, what your minor is, what your certification will be. Wherever you go in the world, whatever you aim to do, your success truly is based on relationships that you create and maintain over time. And I think you're correct. I think in a small town, you can develop a whole lot of relationships and take those connections with you as you grow as a professional. It's very powerful. I think it's an exponential kind of thing. You meet 10 people and you maintain a relationship with them, for 10 years, whether it be through LinkedIn or a quick text or a call to see how things are going. Or if you're, embarking on a new project yourself and you want some insight, some professional intel, some insight, call that connection. And they're going to be happy to hear from you and know where you're at in the world. It's the relationships that you can build are really, you can't measure the importance of that.
Yeah. I know when we've gone back and forth, you've kind of called yourself like the great connector. You connect people. And it's the same thing. I love connecting people. I love bringing people together. But yeah, I'm so grateful. And those relationships are what continues to keep me here. From my experience at the DDA, I was able to meet everyone in town. When I was leaving the DDA, that I went around and I talked to everyone. And I was like, hey, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for spending it with me. Thank you for trusting me. And they're like, hey, Madison, can you help? Can you come in? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. You're keeping me? Yay, I get to stay.
Right. Which win-win, right?
Yeah.
That was the design of the whole program, is that hopefully, right, thered be some, not all, not 100%, will obtain full-time employment and stay. But that was one of the intended outcomes. And you were right out of the gate. You were the one. It happened. And, I think several others too have stayed local. There's success stories there. And if not right away, I think that those relationships that have been cultivated, the experience that have been had, will likely beckon people back, at some point in time. They may go to the big city, or they may take a job to kind of earn a little experience, but, they likely will reflect on, that felt so good to be there, and do that thing. And I wonder if I could go back, if I could return to earn.
Or they could even recommend that place. If they're like, I'm somewhere else, but my friend who is into the same thing wants to stay local, they could recommend that place of employment. And they might not even known it existed.
Right, exactly. Relationships and connections are
the most
key.
important thing.
Absolutely.
Making sure you stay connected with people. So you're working on a newer program, I think, which is the Family Legacy. I was reading a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I took the return to earn concept and kind of took a right turn a couple of times, a little switch up. Maintain the return to earn, which is very broad. Any major, we can connect with any employer here locally. But two other ventures I went in. One of the obstacles, I guess you could say, for local nonprofits in our area are a lack of personnel. Like, they might not even have a full-time person. They might have no paid people, and they're doing a lot of human servant work, but they just don't have the capacity to apply for grants. And so, having heard that numerous times, I'm every bit a grant geek is what I call myself. I love grants. I've always lived in the space of writing grants. And so I got a grant. I wrote a grant that was awarded to hire grant writing interns. And the concept was that, university students, college students, one, they can work on, researching and drafting and writing any hour of the day remotely. They don't have to be in a seat somewhere here locally. And then secondly, they're students, so they know how to research. They know how to write, and they have resources. So the concept was to build out capacity for some of our locals that didn't have the capacity to write for grants. And so in its first iteration, I partnered university students up with municipal governments because a lot of grants are out there for, trails, for streets, for water infrastructure, for, just a ton of things. But boy, oh boy, one city manager can't do all of that and on top of what they're already doing, for heaven's sake. So at any rate, I was able to hire 5 or 6 interns to do that work. And that's turned out really, really well. There were a lot of grants applied for and continue to be applied for. So that is something that I invested some time in and have a lot to say about for sure. Again, super thrilled with the outcomes. Just really gifted people took those positions. And then recently, I asked, again, through Handshake, put out there one vacancy for a legacy storyteller, essentially. What I've wanted to do for some time, the past 2 years, Fort County has sponsored a Hispanic Heritage Fiesta, which has been very nice. This year, I wanted to instead kind of really focus on what I intended to do at the outset, and that is really honor, people from the Latinx community that have come here, maybe years ago as children of a migrant farm working family that have stayed and, become citizens and work and, offer so much to our local economy and to our, local restaurants, you name it. But to kind of, pardon the pun, but harvest some of that story. So that it could permanently rest somewhere, local libraries, local schools. So, and so at any rate, I'm looking for a college student that is in communications or marketing, really enjoys that storytelling, that videography, to help us capture some of those stories from locals that would like to talk about it. And so to kind of continue that trend, hopefully every year, and maybe we'll broaden it too and expand it, but that was kind of my initial desire to kind of touch base with that community and just to not necessarily celebrate, but to respect and honor their commitments to our local culture, the local fabric of our communities, and our economy. And so that was a project we started 3 years ago to showcase at the Hispanic Heritage Fiesta, but it just never really got off of a poster board. So I thought we need to, an intern, right? Again, a real world problem, a real world project. So that's the latest iteration of internships. What I just aim to do is bring students back and engage them with the local community and hope that, it's a catalyst for both local employers and the students get that relationship going and great experience on the resume, and maybe they stay with us and maybe we stop that out migration trend.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just, keeping those relationships and getting connected. And Fort County does a great job at both. You're connecting the students to the employers, you're staying connected with the students, you're staying connected with the communities, you're staying connected with the schools, you're reaching out to the universities, and it's bringing everyone together in a very succinct fashion, and making a big impact in these communities. I don't know how many times I see, I think I see people I know and the photo on your webpage. You know, I've seen like younger siblings of my friends being four county recipients.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you know, I see you guys everywhere,
Right.
which is great.
Mm-hmm. We're definitely a part of the fabric of each of the communities that we serve. Sometimes you still bump into somebody that says, Fort County, who is that? What do you do? And then you mention projects. Well, have you ever been to this park? Yeah, we invested in that park.
It's like,
Yeah, have you ever been to that school? Well, yeah, well, we invested in, several of their programs or clubs. So I think, we don't take the front seat on
Yeah.
things. We're kind of in the back seat as investors, really. We are investors of local projects. And so our name isn't necessarily on the marquee, but we're there.
yeah.
And so, yeah, without a doubt, it's everything from as small as a $500 grant to as big as a $50,000 grant. I mean, we've done
Wow.
everything in between for all 8 or 9 of our different communities. So, and we are designed in a way that we will grow over time. And so all of our money is invested. And so, we get a return on our investment. But then we just have wonderful people continue to donate because, hey, for example, I grew up in Romeo. Romeo helped me raise my family. Here is a donation to this Romeo project or to the Romeo Community Fund. And, that's rinsed and repeated all over our service area. And so, we will just do nothing but grow. That's a given. And as we grow, we're just going to do more good.
Yeah.
And I really love innovative, creative projects and solutions. So anybody who comes to visit me, as you know, will be able to engage me in any idea that, leads to good things or, that's the intended outcome is something positive for our local communities. So we're all about, addressing needs that are known and traditional, but we're also all about addressing needs that maybe we don't even realize are there. So we rely upon our community to inform us and to tell us, hey, have you ever thought of this? Or I've always wanted to do this. And then we sit and we have a conversation about, well, how can we make that happen?
How can you help?
Exactly. Yeah.
So how long have you been with the Four County Foundation?
Since March of 2019. So I guess I'm working on up close to 6 years.
Okay. Cool. What has been the biggest area of growth?
Scholarships.
Scholarships?
Yeah, as far as dollars in and dollars out, it's scholarships. And then I guess along with that, I would say, there's been a big movement to everybody appreciating the fact that students don't need a 4-year degree. So a lot of those scholarships are now positioned to really pay for 4-year, but 2-year or trades or certification. So we've had students become mechanics with our scholarships, become cosmetologists with our scholarships, some unique things that students are studying. And so I think that's been a trend in philanthropy, is that we understand that it's not the traditional 4-year or nothing. And so we kind of are able, our donors really come to us with that thought.
Yeah.
In addition to, we don't want our scholarship necessarily to be only for the top 2% of the, the top 2% of the GPA, ladder. We really want to position our scholarship to be 2.5 to 3.0. We want them to be kind of that student that has done average and without our help likely wouldn't get to college. So maybe based on some finances or some life experiences. And so I would say that's been a trend.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I've seen a lot of a shift over into just getting into the workforce, just getting into the trades, just getting into those certification programs. So that's a big help, and it's very impactful because you're just going, all right, I'm training, I'm being specialized into
Right.
this section. And it's very helpful to have that in there.
Right. And I would say that there is a trend among community foundations in the state of Michigan and across the nation that
Mm-hmm.
we have not yet engaged in much, but I really would like to. And it might take the right donor,
Mm-hmm.
that hears this and says, "Wow, that's a space I could really make a difference." And that is students that are in college that have life events that seem to be possibly preventing them
Mm-hmm.
from continuing their education. For example, they're commuter students and their car just completely broke down, like it's totaled, and they can't afford to get a new car. And so, funding might help along that end. Or, not every college student is 18 to 22
Mm-hmm.
without children. Some are in their 30s, single moms, holding a job, trying to get the degree. And, daycare costs are going to prevent them from going to class.
Mm-hmm.
And so all across the state, we are researching that. And a lot of foundations are already, with charitable dollars helping address those needs. And that's a huge, lifesaver
Yeah.
for somebody who's
Yeah.
already engaged with college, wanting to finish. But as I said, life happens. Life isn't perfect.
Yeah.
And so those obstacles that come up, they call the foundation and say, "This is what I'm experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
Might there be help?" And, there's an application, there's a process, and there are donors on the other side that have a heart to have people finish.
Mm-hmm.
We want to get people to the finish line. What good is $1,000 or $5,000 scholarship if indeed, in the end, there isn't a finish line?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we want the students to, get the full benefit of the scholarship and finish.
I like that.
Mhm.
I don't think I've. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
yeah, without a doubt, it's certainly something that as you look at your own family, or your extended family, or your friends, we all know of somebody that hit an obstacle. And
Things happen.
oh
Things
yeah,
get in the way.
to the best of the best. And so, this is a great way to, again, here's a problem. How do we address it? How do we solve it? And so, yeah, that is something definitely I'd like to engage in as well.
Nice.
Hmm.
Cool. So that's kind of in the near future, kind of you're working on. What
Yeah.
What is your long-term goals? Like, what do you see next? What's your big dream?
For the foundation?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you have other dreams you want to share those as well.
Well, I think as far as, local philanthropy goes, the big dream really is just to connect with more people. To be a philanthropist does not mean that you're a millionaire. I myself am a philanthropist. I give often. I don't give millions of dollars. I give what I can. I give what is relevant. So I guess one of the things that I'd really like to do is let everyone know that they can be a member of Fort County Community Foundation. We have volunteers that review grant applications and scholarships. You can participate with your skill. You can donate at any level. In fact, I would give an anecdotal note on that. We are proud to partner with some Oxford funds we hold, but I wish we didn't have them. They're memorial funds for students that were lost in the
Yeah.
Oxford shooting. And I have to tell you that while there have been, major gifts that have come in towards projects, memorial projects to honor those students, some of the most heartfelt donations you can tell are from youth. $4, $10. And I got to tell you, when they come in, I'm like to tears immediately. And so, you don't need millions of dollars to be a philanthropist. You need a heart, and you need a motivation. You just need to do something
Yeah.
to a point that is relevant to you. And so I think that's the big thing. I want to have more people subscribing to our newsletter, more people reading about the good work that we're doing all over the place, to get acquainted with our work, and then to either volunteer or to donate or spread the word. And so really, we're only as strong as our followers, as our donors, and as even our award and scholarship recipients. Tell our story, because we need to be better known and better understood. I think that's a myth that a lot of people think, oh, philanthropy, that's Bezos, that's, these mega $1,000,000,000,000 people.
I can't touch the philanthropist.
Yeah.
They're up somewhere.
Right.
The philanthropist is out there. We just don't know where to find them.
And it's not that esoteric of a concept. It's you and it's me. It's small things. It's talking about great work that we do. We really want to be an integral part of the community. And so, we want to grow our followers. We want to grow our readership. We want to grow understanding of the good work that we've been doing since 1987 and the lives that we have touched and the lives that we have changed. And so there's no dollar amount. I had somebody once tell me, oh, I didn't know I could be associated with you guys. I didn't think I was wealthy enough. And I'm like, say what? No, we want you to understand the work that we do. So I welcome anybody to come in and, ask questions and or give me a call, because we are everyone's foundation, every single person we represent. We are, we're non-denominational. We're not political. We're not anything. We are everyone's foundation.
Yeah, and sometimes the most valuable thing is time. And you give your time all the time. And, all I see is giving from that foundation, which it's a beautiful thing. I'm very grateful for it. I think the other students are very grateful for it. I know that I've been in a couple ceremonies with those memorial funds, and those students are grateful for it because there's something out there that, they can remember their friend. They can remember their favorite teacher and have something that they know is giving back in that person's name. And I think that's what's most valuable is you're that conduit of giving people the opportunity to be able to give.
Right. And another word that I think is really important that I utilize a lot is that the foundation wishes to be relevant to everyone. Whatever a person is passionate about or, admires or wants to continue, whatever it is, we want to be relevant in that space. If it's scholarship, if it's internships, if it's parks, if it's, school projects or assemblies, whatever a person is passionate about, we want to connect with them and help develop that. We want to be relevant.
Nice. So kind of going off, what are you passionate about outside of the Fort County Foundation? What do you like to give back to yourself?
Well, I have a grandson now who's a little over a year, and so he certainly means the world to me. And I'm using my understanding of charitable tendencies to seed some, tuition for him in an account specifically for him. Not necessarily charitable. It's a grandma thing, because I understand the significance. And, one of the things that I'm just really passionate about, and I've donated a lot of time over the years to, is that, as a foundation director, I'm a grant maker. Our organization is a grant maker. We're issuing checks to people who have applied or entities that have applied. But one of the things that I'm really passionate about is actually grant writing. And it's kind of it's an oddity, but one that's not odd to me at all. Our foundation is not billions in asset. We're 25 million in asset, and we can only spend 4% of that a year. I mean, we're not set up to spend down. We're set up forever. And so I really like the space of using my grant writing skills to, like, if somebody brings in a huge community project, like, okay, Fort County, I know that you can't build this accessible playground for us because you don't have $1.5 million to just out and out award us. But possibly we can apply to you for a little bit, and then we can work with you, Kathy, to help understand what bigger grants are out there and maybe you could help us write it. And that's a space I really like, because that's a space that's it's an additive, I guess I would say. Not only can we do grant making, but maybe we can accelerate grant making by connecting local projects with bigger funders. So I've been quite involved in talking to bigger funders, and in fact, Imlay City is one of our communities, and they have long had a need for public transportation. No taxi, no Uber, no Lyft, and very limited public transportation. Certainly not scheduled transportation. And so, I helped them write a grant to get 3 vans at the Hispanic Service Center, and they're going to have their own little transportation initiative there for residents of Imlay City. The hope there is to realize improved health outcomes, get to appointments, get places for preventative care, and then also perhaps help get people to the farmers market and or to school events, the fair. It's definitely, transportation is a huge challenge for a lot of communities, and so we never would have been able to grant $500,000, but I can help.
You can help.
Yeah, and so that's a space that I'm super excited to grow, actually. So if anybody is interested in, and actually I had that grant writing intern grant that I was awarded, and I was just awarded another grant writing kind of capacity builder. So, so at any rate, that's kind of exponential help. It's a way to magnify what we're already doing, grow capacity essentially. So that's not really, it's not downhill skiing. It's not traveling worldwide, but that really is my passion. I like to kind of grow the capacity for small town projects to happen.
Yeah. You're a giver. You give.
Well,
we love it.
I receive a lot from that too, though. It just kind of fills a bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you get the most out of it when you see that, I did this for this person. I feel satisfied that they're satisfied.
Exactly.
It gives back to
have a senior citizen, get to the grocery store once a week, or to get to the senior center once a week, or to go visit grandkids or whatever it is, or even to have a young, a junior high student maybe get a ride home from a club that otherwise he wouldn't be able to participate in. Just these little things are, again, they kind of are, they feel real good.
Yeah. I think this whole organization is a feel-good organization.
It definitely is.
All right. Before we wrap up here, is there any final thoughts that you would like the people to know? Anything to look forward to in the near future?
Actually, we look forward to better understanding our community. So in an effort to be relevant and in an effort to be meaningful to the people in the community, give us a call, stop by, talk to us. That's really my ambition. So I really appreciate this opportunity, and we only kind of scratched the surface of what we actually do and what we're committed to. So would love for an unintended outcome to happen here, and that would be somebody to give me a call and say, I want to talk to you. Tell me more about this, or have you ever thought of that? That's what I'd love.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we could do for you. We would love to have you guys back, get you guys set up for a podcast, and you can reach more people.
I would love that.
All right. Well, thank you, Kathy. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Madison. You're a success story for sure.
Thanks.